Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 15. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Mukti or liberation is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years and births. But that liberation is possible in a very simple way, simply by surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Then the question is, why don't these intelligent and hardworking leaders, scientists, philosophers, administrators, business tycoons adopt this simple method? Position or footing in this world can be easily and quickly just touched upon superficially. But to actually make it an integral part of our lives requires years of cultivation. So the material plane offers a superficial interface. It's like access to a honey bottle but from the outside. But spiritual insights can take us deep within the bottle, where we can taste and relish the flavor of honey. It's just like say for example, it may be very easy for a class 12 student cracking JEE exam to land up in one of the IITs, and he can very easily buy a t-shirt of IIT, an IITian, and wear a t-shirt of being an IITian. But actually one is qualified to be called as an IITian only when one qualifies his undergraduate studies or dual degree studies and comes up with good grades and a good training. So it's easy to adopt a superficial interface, but it requires cultivation, it requires perseverance to be able to actually qualify oneself to stand by that position or footing. In fact, we see in Kharagpur, even some mess employees can wear an IIT t-shirt. They also have some acquaintance with IIT, but that doesn't make them into an IITian. So all this goes on to show or say that yes, to be able to have any leadership position in our life, to be able to find the completeness of that, or to be able to qualify ourselves for towards the completeness of that position, we need to churn our hearts. We need that cultivation. We need that spiritual training. We need that spiritual training. Just like one time there was a sadhu, and a gentleman came to the sadhu, and the gentleman asked the sadhu, he said, "My dear sir, please tell me what is this? ये साधु की दाढ़ी है या बकरे का मूछ?" The sadhu thought about it. The sadhu said, "Oh, you are asking a very deep and meaningful question. To answer this question, I have to do an experiment. This will be a long experiment. Come after a few years. I'll do the experiment and give you the right answer." The man thought maybe the sadhu is crazy, got dumbfounded, I could, by my intellect, I could smash him. So he thought like that, and then in a hilarious mood he went off. He came back to the sadhu after some years, or he happened to meet the sadhu after some years, and he asked the same question, "So my dear sadhu, do you have the answer?" The sadhu said, "Yes, I am very seriously doing the experiment." But the results will take a few more years. Please come after. And in this way, anytime and every time the gentleman would meet the sadhu would always say, I am very seriously and sincerely do the experiment. In this way, the sadhu led a religious life, a life based on principles and values. And then he was getting old, and now he was at the fag end of his life. And now at the 11th hour of his life, he recalled the gentleman and the question he asked. He never forgot the question, rather he was doing that experiment throughout his life. And then he told his students, you please call that gentleman. And that gentleman was summoned, and he came. And he said, my dear sadhu, now you are old, you are on your deathbed. Do you have the answer? The sadhu said, yes. Today I have the answer. He said, all my life I have been doing this experiment of riveting my existence to these principles of the Shastras. All my life I have been sincerely following the instructions of the Shastras and my spiritual teachers. All my life I have been standing by the injunctions of the spiritual principles. Despite provocations, despite agitations, despite thick and thin, I stood by it throughout life. And therefore, today I can say confidently, ये साधु की दाढ़ी है, ये बकरे का मूंछ नहीं है. This is the point. That yes, an interface of spirituality is easy, but real success lies in depths of it. Similarly, an interface of anything is easy. Touching is easy, but living by it is the real success mantra, and that requires cultivation, that requires sadhana, that requires churning of our hearts. Just like we can say that, so now when we simply fluff on the material plane, then what we are catching, or anything when it is only existing on a material plane, because material plane is just one dimension of reality. Therefore, there is a limited amount of blossoming which can happen. There is a limited amount of evolution which can happen, and therefore anything simply on the material plane remains imperfect. Just like a two-dimensional drawing cannot explain everything about a 3D architectural marvel. It requires one to upgrade to a higher dimension. Similarly, we need to upgrade ourselves to the higher dimension, the spiritual dimension of life. And then all our traits will find or will blossom or evolve to their full completeness. Simply remaining on the material plane may keep them incomplete, but it really blossoms when it is added on a spiritual plane. So therefore, we can understand that in this way, science, philosophy, business, ethics can achieve their full perfection when we take them to the spiritual plane. A scientist can achieve his true perfection of his quest of knowledge when he upgrades his settings to add the spiritual plane. When he channelizes, when he unleashes his working, not only, or when he exercises his working, not only on the material plane but adds on the spiritual plane, and so that makes things perfect and complete. That makes a scientist perfect and complete. That will make science, philosophy, business, ethics perfect and complete. So yes, why should we deprive ourselves of this opportunity to make ourselves, to make our understandings, to make our worldview perfect and complete by adding, by cultivating, by installing the spiritual dimensions in our lives?